Good morning. How you doing? Thanks for coming by. Let's have a nice cup of coffee together. Look at the dust on that. This week's photo is of me looking up something in this historical encyclopedia of Great Britain and Ireland. And to tell you the truth, when I took the book off my bookshelf, it was absolutely covered in dust. I hadn't used it for years. And let's go back, let's say 20 years in time. I'm having my coffee and I think, oh, a student mentioned the Tudor monarchy in England and Britain last class. And they spoke about Henry VII and Henry VIII and Mary I and Queen. I want to find out more information about that. So I'm going to look in my encyclopedia. So I get my encyclopedia, which is quite heavy, and I start to look through the pages, maybe look at the index or the chapter headings. It's heavy. And I'll sit down and enjoy this. Of course, I've had to actually bring this with me in my bag. It's quite heavy. And that's 20 years ago. What do we do nowadays? We get our phone out and we look it up in Wikipedia. But what is Wikipedia? How did it start? Who founded it? And why does everybody nowadays use Wikipedia? Why do we trust Wikipedia? How did it stay neutral? Let's find out more.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at someone who sort of exists alongside the big tech names, Bezos, Musk, Page, but took a completely different route. Jimmy Wales, the Wikipedia founder.
Right. And it's a fascinating path.
Absolutely. Our mission here is to figure out how Wikipedia, this huge nonprofit volunteer thing, actually works. I mean, how does it stay civil, mostly neutral, when so much of the internet is, well, a mess?
Yeah, is he really the last decent tech baron, like some sources claim?
We'll see. We're diving into how it all started, the rules that keep it going, and how Wales deals with criticism today.
And it really kicks off with a personal crisis, not some grand business plan. That shapes everything. We'll also look at his idea of trust and those recent attacks, like Musk calling it Wikipedia.
Okay, let's start there with that personal beginning. It's quite striking. It's right after Christmas 2000. Wales's daughter, Kira, was just born.
Yeah, a really difficult start.
She had something called meconium aspiration syndrome, basically a really serious breathing emergency right after birth, needed experimental treatment.
A nightmare scenario for any parent.
And Wales, he dies online trying to find reliable information fast to make this huge decision. He said later it was like searching through the debris of a bombed-out library, just nothing solid.
And the timing is crucial because at that exact moment, he was already running an online encyclopedia project, Nupedia.
Nupedia. That didn't quite take off, did it?
Not at all. It was the total opposite of what he needed in that moment of crisis. Nupedia was expert-only, very slow, rigorous peer review. Think academic journal style. Painfully slow. In its first year, it published only 21 articles, topics like Donegal fiddle tradition, important maybe, but not exactly, rapid, accessible knowledge for a medical emergency.
Right, so that experience with his daughter needing information now showed him the Nupedia model was broken.
Exactly. That personal scramble seems to be the catalyst. It showed him the expert gatekeeper model wasn't going to cut it for the scale of knowledge needed. That's where the Wikipedia idea came from, this radical concept. Let anyone edit.
A huge leap of faith, really, from total control to total openness.
A massive shift. And look at the scale now. Millions of articles in English alone, huge numbers in other languages. It's kind of unbelievable it works.
Okay, so how does it work without just descending into chaos? This brings us to the principles Wales outlined, the 7 rules of trust.
Yes, these are sort of the bedrock.
For you listening, these rules are interesting beyond Wikipedia. 2 really stand out for the internet age. First, have a clear positive purpose. Like Wikipedia's slogan, Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. Sounds simple, but it keeps editors on track.
Focus is the mission.
Second, assume good faith, be courteous, and this is key: radical transparency.
That transparency bit is huge. On Wikipedia, pretty much everything is public. Every edit, every argument on the talk pages, who changed what and why, it's all there in the history.
You can actually go check the work.
Right, and that openness, that's what builds the trust, much more than just claiming to be authoritative.
Then there's neutrality, refraining from taking sides. That feels almost impossible today.
It's tough, but Wales leans on some interesting research here. He cites Corey Clark at UPenn. Her work suggests people trust institutions less if they seem politicized.
Wait, less? Even if the bias is, on my side?
Yeah, counterintuitive, right. But the idea is if you sense a slant, even one you agree with, you feel you're not getting the whole story. You feel persuaded, not informed.
Okay, that makes sense. You're being managed rather than educated.
Exactly. Wales uses an example of reading a news piece on Trump that felt like a rant. Even agreeing politically, he felt he didn't get the objective facts needed to form his own view. The trust dipped.
So for Wikipedia, the goal isn't to avoid controversy, but to present the facts neutrally, even on loaded topics.
Precisely. His example is the Hitler entry. It doesn't need to be a rant against Hitler, he says. Just state the documented horrific facts. The facts speak for themselves. Let the reader draw the conclusion. The encyclopedia reports, it doesn't preach.
That clarity really sets him apart from other tech founders, which leads to that decent tech baron label. He was there with Bezos and Musk, but chose nonprofit for his biggest project.
Right, but it's important how he frames it. He pushes back against the idea he renounced wealth or is anti-capitalist. He says he's actually quite in favor of business, points to his for-profit work with fandom.
So it wasn't an ideological rejection of money?
Apparently not. He argues his life is just dramatically less interesting than some billionaires. Says he's just a geek working from home. The driver was the mission, the purpose, not the payout.
Still, that mission faces attacks. Let's talk about the recent stuff, like Elon Musk calling Wikipedia Wokepedia.
Yeah, that attack focused heavily on the Wikimedia Foundation's budget. Specifically, critics claimed huge amounts, like $50 million, were going to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Which, for an encyclopedia aiming for neutrality, sounds like it could be a political problem.
Yeah.
How does Wales justify that?
His defense ties DEI directly back to the core mission of being a global encyclopedia for everyone. He argues that funding isn't about, say, U.S. politics.
Okay, so what is it about?
It's about practical things needed for a worldwide project, like bringing in Swahili-speaking editors to improve coverage of Africa, or making sure African-American history is represented accurately by editors from that community. He claims it's 100% all related to improving Wikipedia, making it truly comprehensive and therefore more neutral globally.
So DEI is a tool for neutrality and completeness, not against it. That's a strong counter-argument.
It is. But he also expresses frustration, that these kinds of scorched earth attacks prevent any real conversation about actual, maybe smaller issues the site could improve on. It just forces everyone into defensive corners.
He creates a chilling effect, he calls it. Okay, looking forward, what does he see as the big threats? Surprisingly, maybe not AI.
Right. While AI models train on Wikipedia data, he seems less worried about AI content overwhelming the site because of the human verification and transparency rules already in place.
So what's the bigger danger?
Authoritarianism, plain and simple. Wikipedia is already blocked in China, faces censorship pressures in Russia and elsewhere. His policy is never breached, no cooperation with government censorship. If that fails, the whole model fails.
Which brings us back to trust. His advice, especially from the pandemic era, was that just stating authority isn't enough. You have to show your work.
Exactly. Explain how you reached conclusions. Be transparent. He calls himself a pathological optimist about the internet's potential. He hopes people will eventually see Wikipedia as this sort of oasis of nice people doing something good.
So the takeaway for you listening, Wikipedia's success seems less about tech wizardry and more about sticking to clear ethical rules, radical transparency, and having a purpose beyond just making money.
And that leaves us with a question, doesn't it? If even bias you agree with makes you trust a source less, can platforms chasing clicks and outrage ever build lasting trust? Maybe more organizations need to look at Wikipedia's rules. What parts of your world could use a dose of that radical transparency?
Something to think about, especially now, as AI generates content and finding common ground feels harder than ever.
Chat about these questions and write down your opinions and ideas. 1. Describe the picture. Do you ever consult Wikipedia, read the newspaper, etc. over a coffee? 2. How do you use Wikipedia? Describe any other sources of information that you use and would recommend to others. 3. Is investing in diverse editors essential for Wikipedia to achieve a truly global and neutral perspective? 4. Are the rules of assuming good faith and radical transparency still possible or practical in modern online communities? 5. If you had the time and money, what kind of altruistic project, such as Wikipedia, would you create?